My name is Steve Smith. This is TQA Weekly. If ever you have questions, comments, suggestions for topics, email me at ask@tqaweekly.com. Go to my website, tqaweekly.com, and can interact with others on this episode, past others. Use the contact form, email me directly. And if you're already on YouTube, use the comments box down below. And if you want to get these episodes 24 hours in advance of everyone else and make this show better, become a patron of my Patreon by going to patreon.com/TQAweekly. And today I'm going to be talking about laptop gaming support and why game developers don't support mobile laptop graphics cards. It's kind of complicated, it's kind of easy, it's kind of weird. So first of all, we're going to start by the fact that laptops are not exactly the same thing as a tower. Computer tower with integrated graphics will be like what, $400, $600 from a computer store or from a big box store or online or whatever. But the second that you want to upgrade that, you can very easily almost double the price because a lot of graphics cards cost as much as a computer. So for those out there saying it's not normal that a gaming laptop is double the price of a conventional laptop, you don't know what you're talking about. It's actually quite normal. But there are a lot of pros and cons when it comes to this. Towers can have their power supplies changed. They're always plugged in the wall. So obviously they have punch, they have power, and they have a whole lot of bytes. But laptops are a tricky species of gadget. So they have integrated graphics, mobile graphics cards, and discrete graphics cards. A lot of people buy gaming laptops with mobile graphics cards, expecting to be able to play video games with them, and then looking at the minimum requirements and seeing that game developers are not supporting their graphics cards. The reason why is for that punch, that bite, that performance initiative from the graphics card that they're expecting for your entire experience of the game. But you know what? A lot of that is bullshit. There's nothing that says you can't play that video game anyway on your laptop. So first of all, let's just address the elephant in the room, the cost of a gaming laptop. So you can pay upwards of double the price over a conventional laptop if you bought a laptop with a discrete graphics card in it, which is why a lot of you go with the mobile graphics cards because it puts it between the two prices. So it's halfway between the conventional and the gaming laptop. It is a lot better than a conventional laptop. It will be able to game, but it doesn't have that punch. But are you really getting that much of a punch from a discrete graphics card? Well, the current models can expect up to 90% of the performance of the desktop discrete graphics card. But why can't they reach 100%? And why don't game developers support these mobile laptops anyway? Well, they're not supporting them because of a few constraints that actually are part of the game. Laptops have non-changeable parts. So what I'm talking about is the battery can be changed, but it's basically that kind of battery or that series of batteries. And the hardware has to be able to run off those batteries for several hours. The power supply is very limited. If you put a power supply that could run a really heavy graphics card, a really powerful graphics card in there, the laptop would not be thin anymore. Most people want a thin laptop. So you got power delivery and battery demand that become issues. We also have heat as an issue within laptops. So laptops throttle all the time. Not that you would notice, but they throttle all the time. They throttle in response to heat, they throttle in response to usage and demand as well. And screens also have variable refresh rates in laptops. All this so that the laptops can last for hours on end, not plugged into the wall. This means though that when you actually do have demand on the laptop, it actually takes a lot more power. So the second you come to run a game, you're demanding a lot more from the laptop. And this causes a laptop, in some cases, to thermally throttle. So there's not that huge punch and bite of performance. It's also throttling at the same time in response to remaining power and temperature issues within the laptops. So there's a few things you can do about that, regardless of whether the game developer actually supports your laptop or not. So 1, plug your laptop into the wall. 2, deal with the temperature. You can use risers and laptop coolers to keep your laptop cool, and that would actually lower the temperature of the laptops. Also, a lot of the heat generated by the mobile GPU and the discrete GPU are from doing tasks. So turning things off like anti-aliasing, lowering textures and the quality of the image, bump up the frame rate, but also demand less from the graphics card. If you're demanding less from the graphics card, you get a better experience with a little less heat. Yes, it will be negligible, but in the entire arms race of a laptop, if you're 1 degree lower away from hitting the thermal threshold for throttling, you'll just have a much better game. So even a single degree is enough to have a better experience out of the entire thing. And remember that while your laptop is plugged in, it has stable power delivery at the same time, which means it won't have to throttle the screen, it won't have to throttle the drives, it won't have to throttle the motherboard or any of the other equipment, because it won't have to rely on the battery at the same time. So, whether or not game developers support mobile laptop graphics cards doesn't necessarily change anything if you're willing to accept a few facts of life. You don't need to play in high quality or ultra or whatever. You just need to lower the graphics. And a lot of people already do this because they play with older desktops as well. So whether or not game developers support it or not has nothing to do with your ability to play the game. The reason why they don't necessarily support it is because, from their opinion, you don't have the performance necessary for what they believe is an acceptable gaming experience. But if you accept it and you like it, then by God, just play the game the way you want to. But if you want a better experience with a higher frame rate, just do as I said. It will also, true, very negligibly reduce the temperature, but any degree less under the threshold for thermal throttling will give you more frame rate anyway. So plug it in, lower the quality of the image, turn off things you don't need like anti-aliasing, and of course, enjoy the game. And if you are out there ready to spend a lot of money on a laptop, keep in mind that if you buy a laptop with a discrete graphics card, especially the newer versions, you can expect 90% of the performance of that of the desktop graphics cards. So of course you can still game at 4K and have amazing quality altogether. But the laptops that most people get confused about are the mobile ones. And those ones aren't supported by the game developers because they believe it doesn't have the punch necessary to play the game. Some do, by the way, support it, but those that believe it doesn't have the punch just don't believe it does. But of course, the game experience is always going to be from your own point of view. And I would like to point out, though, at the same time, is whether or not they support it or not, if you haven't bought the laptop yet, I want you to think about something. Remote play is a thing now. You can buy a relatively inexpensive gaming tower that you can remote into to play video games. Or you can do something like me, where I play with my NVIDIA Shield portable. Some people play with their NVIDIA Shield tablet. You can also use remote play with an Xbox One. So you can also buy a console and play with a laptop far away. Obviously not great for first-person shooters, but it's still a thing. So you don't necessarily have to flip such a high bill to play video games on a laptop if you don't necessarily need to use it in that specific way. So the reason why they don't support it is power delivery, burst of power. Does it change anything? That's up to you. But the reason why they don't necessarily support them is because they don't believe it has the punch behind it. But gaming has always been a very personal experience for people, so it's up to you to decide that part. So, like this episode if you liked it, dislike it if you didn't, share with those that you think can benefit from this, and of course, subscribe if you haven't already done so. And if you want to make the show better, go to patreon.com/GQAweekly and become a patron today. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.